Welcome back to my Koufuku Graffiti cook-through. Ever since I saw the cream puffs shown in the episode last week, I couldn't stop thinking about them. So to satisfy my craving, we're going to be making strawberry cream puffs from scratch. We're going to start off by making the pastry cream. In a small pot, add in a half cup of sugar, a fourth cup of cornstarch, and a pinch of salt. Whisk this together until fully combined and set aside. Then whisk together 4 large egg yolks, add in 1 cup of heavy cream, 1 cup of milk, and a splash of vanilla extract. Whisk this together until fully smooth, then add into your dry ingredients. Use a whisk to whisk it all together to make sure no lumps are left, then turn on the heat to medium-low and begin to stir constantly. Add in 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter and continue to mix together on low heat. You want to be mixing it consistently so it doesn't burn at the bottom. This all comes together fairly quickly, between 10 to 15 minutes. Now we're going to strain it using a fine mesh sieve. Straining the pastry cream results in a silky smooth texture and removes any brown bits. Normally pastry cream is used by tempering the eggs, but I think a one-pot process is much easier. Use a spoon or a silicone spatula to help push the pastry cream through. You can see on screen right now that even though I'm kind of using force to push it through, once you see the bottom, the brown specks stay on the sieve. And just look how luscious your pastry cream is. This is the consistency you want. When you run your finger down the back of the spoon, the pastry cream won't run off by itself. Take a sheet of plastic wrap and press it down onto your done pastry cream. This way it prevents the pastry cream from drying out and creating a skin while it's cooling in the fridge. Refrigerate for 4 hours or overnight, and now let's get to making the pate choux. Pate choux is a French pastry dough that produces steam to create light, airy desserts. Add 8 tablespoons of unsalted butter to a small saucepan, followed by a half cup of water. Then add in a half cup of whole milk or heavy cream, 2 teaspoons of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, then mix it all together until it's fully melted and combined. Now add in 1 cup of all-purpose flour and use a whisk to whisk everything together. Whisk fast as this dough will start to cook immediately, and you want to use a whisk to make sure there's no clumps of flour that are left in the dough. Make sure your heat is at the lowest setting right now while you're mixing the dough all together. Then you're going to take a rubber spatula to push out all the dough that's stuck in the middle of the whisk. Once all of the dough is out of the whisk, use the rubber spatula to continue mixing. Incorporate all of that extra dough into the batter, then continue to cook over low heat for another 5 minutes until everything is fully combined. Remove the pot from heat, and here's a close-up of what your dough should look like. Be really careful as the dough is super hot. Now we're going to add it into a stand mixer. Attach the paddle to your stand mixer, and we're going to start mixing on low speed. This helps to cool down the batter before we start adding in the eggs. Take 4 large beaten eggs and slowly stream it into the batter. What we're doing right now is called tempering. By using the stand mixer, we're allowing the batter to cool down while we add in the egg to make sure the eggs don't cook too fast and turn into scrambled eggs. After each addition of the beaten eggs, make sure it's fully absorbed into the batter before adding more. You could do this by hand as well, but it might be kind of hot and it does get super sticky. So I do like using the stand mixer more than a hand mixer or by hand. I'm adding in the last bit of my egg now, and we're just going to let the mixer mix until it's fully combined. Here's a closer look at what the consistency should look like. Use a rubber spatula to help scrape off any excess dough off of the paddle attachment, then you're going to scrape down the bowl. Here's another close-up of what your dough should look like. Now we're going to be placing it into a piping bag. For an easy setup, fold a piping bag inside out over a tall cup. This way the bag stays open and it's easier for the edges to stay clean. Once you have all the dough that can fit inside the piping bag, pull up the edges and lift the entire bag out of the cup. Now you can use the bag to scrape down the sides of the spatula without getting your fingers dirty. If this had been regular buttercream frosting, you could have just shaken the bag and it would have fallen to the bottom of the bag. But since it's pate choux and it's sticky, we're going to have to snip off the ends and use a bench scraper to scrape it all the way down to the bottom. This is as far down as it'll go with the bench scrape, so I just twist the ends and squeeze so I can fill in all the excess air at the end of the bag. Now we're ready to pipe. Before you pipe, make sure you have parchment laid down, then snip off an extra ½ inch and then start piping. This recipe makes about 16 cream puffs. I'm piping them out into about 2-inch mounds. I piped some puffs too close together, so I'm just using an offset spatula to move them. Once you're done piping, we're going to use some water to remove the peaks. Dip your finger into some water, then use it to smooth out any rough edges on your cream puffs. Repeat this process until all of your dough is used. Once you're ready to bake, brush some water onto the parchment paper using a pastry brush. This will help create extra steam in the oven to make sure all of your cream puffs rise. And lastly, brush the tops of your cream puffs with some egg wash. The egg wash helps produce that beautiful golden color you see on classic cream puffs. Cream puffs will be baked in a 2-step process. The first bake will be at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 20 minutes, then drop down the temperature to 350 and bake for another 10 to 15 minutes. When the cream puffs are done, let them cool completely on the sheet pan before moving onto a wire rack. I chose the 10 most perfect cream puffs to show in this video. Here's a close-up of your gorgeous homemade cream puff. Now let's get into the fillings. It's strawberry season, so I picked some up from the local stand and now we're going to clean and hull the strawberries. Use a small paring knife to core out the strawberries from the top. Repeat until all the strawberries are hulled, then you're going to slice them into thin slices. When you're done, set them aside and let's finish the Diplomat Cream. Diplomat Cream is just whipped cream mixed with pastry cream, so let's make the whipped cream. To 1 cup of heavy cream, add in a teaspoon of vanilla and a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. Then use an electric hand mixer or stand mixer to whisk until firm peaks. I used some plastic wrap to place on top of my mixer so it doesn't splash everywhere. Take your pastry cream out of the fridge and add half of it to your whipped cream. Now gently fold the cream into the pastry cream until fully combined. Here's a close-up for consistency, and yes, you can add in all of the pastry cream, but I saved half for a different recipe. And now for the best part, we get to fill these amazing cream puffs. Take one of the completely cooled cream puffs and cut in half. And look at that. Perfect! Perfectly hollow and perfectly delicious. Take your piping bag full of the Diplomat Cream and pipe in some cream on both the top and bottom halves of the shell. Now add in your sliced strawberries and sandwich it together, and here is your perfect strawberry cream puff. Repeat this process until all the cream puffs are filled. And now for the reveal. These homemade strawberry and cream puffs are perfect for the upcoming summer. Pate choux may be intimidating to work with at first, but it's so easy and it produces this perfect, light, airy, fluffy dessert. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week for more of our Koufuku Graffiti cook-through. Bye!